Welcome back to the Valheim Mod Spotlight. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at a small selection of mods that can extend the functionality of tamed animals. This includes the loxen, boars, and wolves, making them more useful than they are in vanilla Valheim. All the links can be found in the description, and I'll be featuring key highlights in each introduction during the video. Beasts of Burden, a mod by Clevel, enables you to put your tamed animals to work. Rather than pull heavy wagons around by yourself, you can now attach them to any tamed loxen, boars and wolves at your disposal. Normally this would be an issue, as loxen and boars cannot be commanded and will roam freely as they please, but luckily the mod addresses this issue by enabling the ability for them to follow you, just like tamed wolves can. So how do we attach a cart to our tamed animals? Well, it's rather straightforward. All we need to do is pull the cart over towards our tamed animal and release it. As long as the cart's handles are close to the animal, we simply need to move away from the cart, aim our crosshair at the cart's handles and press the E key. The cart will snap into position on the back of our tamed animal, allowing them to pull it instead. To remove the cart from the animal, all we need to do is aim at the cart's handles and press the E key again. For anyone who's watched my second episode on the Crafty Carts mod, you may be wondering if the tamed animals can pull crafting station wagons that were featured in the video. Well, yes, they can. As the carts are a little tall and can easily fall over, my advice is to make loose turns and not to make the animals that are towing them do a 180-degree turn on themselves. This goes for regular carts too, as it can have some unexpected and glitchy results. So what can we do with this new functionality? Well, by combining Beasts of Burden and the previously covered Crafty Cart, we can have one animal tow our stone, whilst the other tows the stone cutter cart, allowing us to make roads much more easily. We can also have multiple followers pull regular carts with our supplies, allowing us to transfer large amounts of resources across the map more swiftly. It's worth bearing in mind that the heavier the cart is, the slower the animal will tow it, so you may need to wait occasionally for your animal to catch up if they're pulling a heavy cart. Another feature is that all three tamed animals can swim, and carts being towed by them will float in the water, even ones full of stone. This means we can transfer large amounts of resources over lakes without having to worry about losing them, albeit a bit slowly. Each tamed animal also has its strengths and weaknesses when it comes to towing carts. Boars are weak and can be easily killed. Their erratic movement patterns, which are most evident when they're aggressive towards the player, means they won't directly follow behind you either, so it can be risky to take them on narrow cliff roads. Wolves also retain their protective behaviour, so when an enemy is within range, the wolf will become aggressive, charge at the enemy and attack it. Whilst this can be really useful, I should also note that if the wolf becomes aggressive towards an enemy in a cliffy environment, it could result in the cart that they're towing ending up at the bottom of a ravine. So be careful where you're taking your wolves when they're towing carts. Finally, there's the loxen. They're the slowest of the three animals, but they have the most health. This makes them useful for towing resources through dangerous areas, as they're least likely to get killed. A config file is generated after running the game once, allowing you to tweak various options to your liking. You can toggle whether loxen, boar or wolves are able to pull wagons, as well as the distance at which the cart will attach to them. You can also change the distance at which each animal will follow behind you, as well as preventing them from becoming scared of fire. Overall, Beasts of Burden provides us with the functionality I originally presumed was in vanilla Valheim. When I had previously seen screenshots of the trader with his own loxen carriage, I presumed that players would be able to use the loxen to tow wagons as well. You can imagine how I was a little disappointed to find out that this wasn't the case. However, thanks to Clevel, the mod's developer, this mechanic is now in the game. Mount Up, a mod by Koosemose, allows you to mount all three animals and ride them like you would a horse. To mount onto the back of any tame loxen, boars and wolves, we simply need to stand next to them and hold the shift key and press E whilst aiming our crosshair at them. We'll then be seated on the back of the animal and we're able to control them with the WASD keys, just like we would with our character. We can also sprint by holding the shift key, though this isn't necessarily useful as in most circumstances, as even when we're running, all three animals are slower than the player's running speed. The developer has acknowledged this, stating that they may look into tweaking it in a future update. To dismount, we simply need to press jump and we'll stand up on the back of the animal and be able to move freely again. As none of the tameable animals can jump in the game, we're unable to make them jump whilst mounted on them. You also cannot currently attack whilst riding on the back of each animal. This includes both the player attacking, like firing a bow or using a sword, as well as the animal itself attacking. A few players have mentioned this to the developer, and although they seem to like the idea, they have mentioned that it's difficult to add this functionality, and previously testing this feature has caused unexpected issues. As previously mentioned, each animal can swim, though I deliberately left out a small detail that makes Mount Up all the more useful. All 3 tamed animals have no stamina requirements to swim, meaning they can float indefinitely. This means instead of trying to swim risky distances by yourself, you can hop on the back of any tamed lox, boar or wolf and use them to swim across large bodies of water. It's also worth noting at this current time that riding on the back of any animal doesn't take your character's weight into consideration, meaning you can essentially negate the over-incumbent debuff that you'd normally suffer from carrying too much. Again, Koosemose is aware of this and may change the way the mod functions in a future update, potentially adding different weight limits to each animal. On the other hand, Mount Up also works in unison with Beasts of Burden, meaning we can control the movement of animals that are towing carts. This gives us greater control over where the animal and the cart it's towing goes, instead of relying on the animal's AI to potentially make mistakes. As the loxen are the most hardy and durable of the 3 animals, they can also be used as a tank to navigate dangerous areas more safely. They have a large amount of health and can take a lot of damage, so players wearing weak armour may be able to pass through biomes such as the plains and swamps more safely than before. A config file is generated after running the game once, allowing you to toggle which animals can be mounted, as well as the hotkeys used to mount them. You can also toggle an optional running stamina mode, which gives each animal a stamina bar which was used up when they're running. And finally, we have Name Your Tame, a mod by GuiriGuy. It's a relatively simple mod that requires little explanation, however I feel it adds a little more personality to the game. In vanilla Valheim, all 3 of the tameable animals cannot be named, so there's little in the way of feeling connected to them. With Name Your Tame, simply adding a name to each animal makes us feel more connected with them. Anyone who's previously played Minecraft or Red Dead Redemption 2 will know how impactful it can be to lose a wolf or horse in either game. The bond that you've created can help create tense moments when it appears that you're going to lose them. It's a minor addition, but one that I feel makes the game more immersive. Alternatively, you can always be one of those punny types of people. To name your tame, you simply need to press the control key to crouch down and then press the rename key, which is the N key by default. A window will appear and you can now name your animal in the same way that you would write a sign. A config file is generated after running the game once, allowing you to toggle the mod on and off, whether the player needs to be crouched to name the tamed animal, and which hotkey you want to use to rename them. Overall, I feel that these 3 mods when combined help make tamed animals in Valheim more useful. Boars and loxens have benefited in particular, with the mods adding features that make them genuinely more useful now. If you have any questions about any of the mods featured in this video, please leave a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like, and for more videos on the latest and most creative Valheim mods, make sure to subscribe.